Hello and welcome to Introduction to Information Technology 2. I'm your lecturer. My name is Jovan Six Roring. I'm from Jakarta International University in Indonesia, and this course is presented for the Hangdom Unitwin Fellowship Program, which is to contribute a material to be taken and accessible to all people from all over the world. So today is our first meeting, and I would like to welcome you again to our I- introduction to IT2. And in this occasion, I would like to share you the material about the concept of innovative and creative uses of IT. But before we begin, because this is our first meetings, I would also like to describe you a little about our courses, our course today. That our course will be divided into 16 meetings, which all will be presented in video material, but also I will give you the lecturer's note for your own study. Okay, let's begin with the concept of innovative and creative uses of IT. The rest of the material would be available in your syllabus, so you can take a look after this material. The concept of innovative and creative uses of IT is divided into a lot of specialization. And in today's course, we will try to utilize the IT into becoming a weapon that could provide us with a lot of benefits. Today, the IT has become the most powerful tools, or can also become a weapon in almost every field of the society that we know, ranging from your personal needed or business needs. For example, today's communication, whether we use email or whether we use social media or various chat tools such as let's say WhatsApp, because back in our country in Indonesia, we commonly use WhatsApp, but it could totally become various between other country. For example, probably in China, they don't usually use WhatsApp because, if I'm not mistaken, it is banned there. From what I know, in South Korean, uh, one of the popular is Kakao Talk, and also we have other type of chat tools that we could also use. For example, Line. It is popular among young generation back in my day. But today, the principle of communication is just not into various chat tools, but also has been integrated in social media. Let's say Snapchat. We have Snapchat, right? For the Z generation, the newest generation of our culture, they usually use Snapchat to communicate with their friends, whether to send photos and videos or just to share things online. And it has become one of the social media that uh, also popular among them. But still, there's also one social media that becoming famous to the younger generation, which is TikTok. We all know that TikTok is video platform where we dance, we share funny videos to our circles or our friends or our family. But nowadays, it's also become one of the part of the community, especially in communication, where people trying to discuss things, they share not only dance videos but also educational videos. We can learn more things about what we interested about. For example, for me, I am interested on IT, and back on my timeline, or they call FYP, for you page, I usually get a video that teach me newer stuff in information technology or in IT. We also have a digital media, the use of IT in digital media, or what we generally know as multimedia, where we divide it into text, a picture, and an audio. That's the base multimedia. And based from these three, we made a videos. For your information, videos is just a picture, a still picture that we use in systems that may make it look like a moving picture. But to be honest with you, picture is not, videos is just a moving picture. Maybe you remember back when you were a kid, when you were still in elementary school, where you used to draw things and try to animate character because you are bored in your school, and you have no study or something that you can do in school, and you try to draw some pictures, try to, from page to page, you are trying to draw things and try to make it moving. That's an example of the videos, the traditional ways or the systematical ways to uh, execute pictures into a video, as well as a lot of media that use in various level of education. We know that multimedia has been helping us, especially in pandemic, where we can't learn directly from our teachers, from our lecturers, and digital media has become one of the powerful tools to increase our capability or our skills in our daily life. And also, if you remember, IT also has become one of the main source for entertainment for the people, especially again in the pandemic situation. You might aware that IT has become mostly part of our life, not only because of the main source of the human is of food, but IT has become most likely become the main source of the human as well. You can ask yourself, can you try to survive a day without IT? You may say yes, but it would be difficult. It's the same with the food. We can survive a day without food, without rice, without our favorite snacks, but it would be difficult. And also, there's some research that says that people who become try to get away from IT has uh, an effect in long term, such as psychological effects that could burden their health. And in this occasion, it's not that I'm judging people, not trying to uh, making people wanted to use IT so badly, because we all know that IT is not 100% good. There's a bad side of IT as well. So that's why we need to learn in this course what is the good side or what is the bad side and what to do with the IT. Especially in this course, we are trying to utilize the IT in a creative and innovative way, which is a good way to utilize information technology. We are going to focus on the creative practice using IT, or for short, or we say ITCP. This is the short term for information technology creative practice. There come a question: why creativity in IT? The answer is because creativity is one of crucial role in our various culture of society that also give personal, social, educational, and also inventions. Our current technology is enough for us to survive, enough for us to uh, get away with everything else, because even the robot, even the IT can exchange us so we can live a quality life. But uh, if we are going through that process, we are going to lose in the future because we don't have anything to do anymore. People getting bored. I can't do job. Even if someone who say right now they think they have a personality of a lazy person. Oh, I hate works. I hate doing chores. I hate to become a social worker or something like that. But to be honest, when we are wasting our time a lot becoming unemployed, deep inside us, we are going to miss that kind of thing. Just like school, when you're too long in pandemic, even going to school are becoming something that beautiful to be looking for. Oh, how I miss to come to my friend, to play with them, to share with them, or just to do jokes with them, and everything that could become the part of the society. That's why it's also becoming one with the IT. When we have everything in IT without creativity, then unfortunately we are going as a we are gonna be a failure as a generation and a human as whole. So there's also saying that better recipes, not just more cooking, because what is life without something different, even if that's a challenging things that needs to be done in life. Because if we are just enjoying things, look at the rich people. They're lonely, they are bored, they're having stressful thoughts, even depression that lead to that. And some of us even for me myself, someone who is could be say a rich person, or you can say me, I'm a poor person, I don't have a lot of money. I would say that why can someone who has a lot of money still going to depression? Doesn't he has everything? That's why this saying better recipes, not just more cooking, is something that could become one of the principle in life, that this need to be added in our social life. And even if we practice creativity, especially using IT, maybe we can save life. uh, Probably maybe we're making product, we're making just a video creation. It could help people, making people happy, or maybe making them less stressful for their daily life, and probably save life. And that happened before. This is why we are making studies in creative practice, or especially ITCP, information technology creative practice. Sorry for my bad uh, write, writing, but please bear with me. I think you can still read it, right? If you can't read it, maybe we can discuss. I will. You can try to post a comment, and I will try to uh, describe it better for you in the comment section. Next, this is also still a question: why we do creative practice using IT? The answer is we can produce a lot of innovative and helpful things, as I mentioned before. For example, did you remember, or maybe some of you know, for the older generation, your grandmother, your grandfather, who is using glasses right now? Because of our creative practice, we are trying to use a lot of new materials. We are making some progress with our optical fields. Now our eyeglasses are thinner than ever. We are using some good, or some unorthodox material that could be used to make the glasses thinner. That's one example. In chemical, we now made a chemical that's less side effects to us as a person, and also an eco-friendly chemical to the birds, to the animals, and even to the plants as well. Even though that some of us might still believe that chemical is not good for us, but in this occasion, I would also ask you all to do research, to study, because right now we as a whole society are trying to make chemicals that uh, and eco-friendly, and even doesn't have any side effects at all. Some of the hosts said that chemical is bad, but uh, you all know, if you read, that even us in our body, as a nature, in our nature, even the nature itself have chemical, and even chemical reaction. There's some misdirection, miscommunication, and it turning into a hoax that chemical is bad. But if you learn, then you will know that chemical isn't really so bad at all. Also, some example in photography. Now we have better picture quality. That's great. If you remember from your study, if you have ever read about photography back in the day, even to take one picture of photos, someone should stand for 1 or 2 hours only to get one single photo, and that's a rare technology. You back in the day, only rich people can access. But look at us right now. We have a photo in our smartphone, and it's cheap. Even poor people like me, I can get a good good quality, not the best, not the best quality, because I have a cheap smartphone, and I think it's still good. It makes me looks good when I take a picture. Also in culture, in pandemic, you see now that we can agree work from home, and what we call remote job is not so bad at all. Even it saves us money. If you are a businessman, you may know we don't have to rent big space anymore for office. Even at home, our productivity could increase. It's even better when even uh, from if we work from the office. So this is also a creative practice, and this can also change the culture from what we usually go to work at 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. or even bigger works 9 to 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., which is I think would be stressful for us. This is not a good thing to do. That's why creative practice using IT or ITCP is a good alternative for us, because we are going to what we call 5.0. We are already in 4.0 generation. Now we are moving towards 5.0, which is the society. That's why it is called Society 5.0. And remember, IT has yielded great result, and in this society in 5.0, IT will become one of the main foundation into the society. Not in the bad way. If you are watching too much of Terminator, not something like Skynet or something like that. No, we do use AI, but I can assure you, Terminator is just fiction. It won't happen to us. Don't worry. Now we move into the strategy in ITCP. Why people are having a successful startup? You know, startup is a business that coming from an idea, coming from one of idea that implemented in the society, and of course that needs a strategy. In ITCP we can implement a strategy for implementing and also getting the funds, the money, to make sure that our startup grow big and also sustainable. This ITCP, us, can do this approach individually or with team. That's why, for example, we have this sample of strategy. This is a strategy to develop a small startup. This not about a person. So in this sample of strategy, we have hacker, we have hipster, we have the hustler. But this this doesn't mean that we have to do this with minimum of 3 people. Even if we are going this individually, we can try to achieve our startup by achieving the skills needed as a hacker, as a hipster, and a hustler. Keep it in mind. Hacker doesn't mean that you have to hack some website, you have to hack Facebook to show that you are a true hacker. No. A hacker is a developer who know things in IT, who not we don't need to master IT, but have a general knowledge on how to use IT. That's it. And a hipster, you need to be a hipster to show that you have a passion, you have the sense of art, And probably the most difficult things is to have your own originality as a hipster. And that's why me personally, I still avoid to become a hipster because I feel insecure with my arts capability. I cannot draw good. Even my, you can see my writing right now. It looks like a elementary school, elementary school's writing. So that's why I don't feel secure. So when I try to make a startup, I try to at least uh, make a team. I team up with someone who is good at art, who have a sense of art, and especially when our team member or teammates have the sense of originality, something new, because that what is the best in creativity. And also me personally, I'm in the fields of IT, have been learning, have been developing my skills as a hustler. So a hustler, this hustler is something we can say as a businessman who loves to talk, but not only loves to talk, but when he talks, he's making a progress in influence the other. We can say not only as a businessman, but as an influencer. That's why people are trying to achieve, become a good, having a lot of followers in social media. That's the talent of an influencer. And that's what we need. We might have a good idea. We might have the skills of IT. But if we doesn't have the skill of a hustler to do marketing, it's all for nothing. We may get the funds from rich people, but if we can't deliver an output, such as a profit, then we are going to become a bad startup, and eventually we are failing and go bankrupt. That's why this sample of strategy in ITCP, especially when you're developing a startup, is needed. You don't have to do this step by step. No, there's a lot of strategies that could be used, but for the main source, the main strategies in ITCP, in creative practice, what you need is one, knowledge of IT, two, media, three, a structure plan, four, management, and last but not least, this one, a cross-discipline field of expertise. You need to be a multi-talented person, not only in one field, not only in IT, but a cross-discipline field of expertise. If you think you're not good enough as a person to be expert in a cross-discipline field, you can team up with someone else and make a good team. That's why in big companies, there's a lot of cross-discipline field of expertise that making sure that the company stay strong, stay big, and giving profits to them. So we now know about the strategies of ITCP, what to expect, what to prepare for our idea. The next step is a question: what to do? And the answer is, of course, preparing tools and media first. There's two different category that we can divide the tools into. One is, let's say, pay. You have to pay for it. For example, the Adobe, Adobe Photoshop to edit your picture to looks good, or just to try to manipulate your pictures to make it looks awesome. And there's a lot of application in Adobe, such as Illustrator to draw things, or Premiere to edit videos, and many other. And it is all need to be paid. But also, thankfully, us as a society have something called open source. This is pay to use. If I like to call it, I need to pay this one. I need to pay this one to use it. And this is my favorite, an open source one. The tools that we can use freely, but as a society, a good person who made it, they give it free for us to use. And usually they don't want anything back. Just to use this application made them happy. But in some case, we could also pay them back. My principle as an IT, when I try to use a application and it went well, I promise to give back to them. Let's say a donation. I can give a donation back to them to support them and try to make them be thankful, be challenging to develop the open source application further. So this is what we need first. We need to prepare the tool. We need to explore as well. Explore on the creativity. What can we use? What can we do with this software? You may have the tools, you may have the money, but if you don't try to explore them, you will just have it sitting on your PC or on your laptops. That's why artists and designer, for our example, need to perform a computer-based task in this media, at least as a practice, at least to learn, to develop skills. For example, you can try to do the CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. CRUD. It's usually a term for programming, but this could also be used in general computer to create things, to read things in the computer, update or maybe delete. We don't need to be scared. Delete is also a learning situation. When we fail, or maybe we think we made a mistake, we can just delete. Just like I show you, I delete the lines that I have been making and then just create it again. Better. If you maybe think that it's not a good thing to do, you need to delete again, and that's fine. You can delete and try to make it better as much as you like. And from what we knew, and also my principle in life, we can do it when we try. In Indonesian, we have that saying, it's a pun in Indonesian. We call it bisa karena biasa. We can do it when we try to do it again and again. That's why uh, not only by preparing a tools and media is the key for the ITCP. It's also need to be executed as much as you can individually, or you can try to ask people to teach you about the uh, experiment or learning progress into becoming an ITCP experiment. Now let's talk about opportunities to develop your skills, not only as an individual who learn through the videos in YouTube, in Vimeo, or in TikToks. We could also try to find opportunities. In Indonesia, we have the program from Google called Bangkit 2021. In English, it's called Rise 2021. Rise mean we try to wake up from that because in 2020 we have been hit hard. That's the philosophy of this Bangkit. So this is an example of a program that could be an opportunity for us to learn in IT. It also been supported by the Ministry of Education in Indonesia, and this could be one of participation for the university students to learn and help them grow. It's also supported with the local startups such as Gojek. This is a smart transportation in Indonesia. Tokopedia, an e-commerce in Indonesia, and Traveloka, which is also one of the startups in ticketing and hotel reservation. So these opportunities is just one of the many, and it's free. You can also try to develop your skills by uh, making a budget, have some money prepared for you. But generally, people could develop their skills only by learning across the web. And of course, what you need to focus is multiple field of study. That's why we need a target of expert. That's what I'm talking about before. And also, if you are aware, there has been a lot of artists and designer as well. They artists and designer usually went as an influencer. Do you know their secrets becoming a good influencer? So these artists you can see in your Instagram or TikToks has become an influencer because of one secret. They are skilled in programming or in hardware, or at least they have some people in their team who has that capability. You may not aware yet that they are making some good quality of videos, and they are making some using some methods in IT to make you aware of their presence. That's why they become an influencer. But one thing for sure, to become a good influencer, this is the skill or the capability that you need. Next, environments that supports the ITCP. This is also one of our main reason why we need to have a good understanding, and also not as a creativity creators, not only as a creator, but also as someone who is going to become an what we call incubator. This is a term that usually used as a business incubator, where we try to put our startups and develop the startups into one good company. This is why environments matter the most in ITCP, because without environments that support ITCP, you can't move your idea. Why? Because first thing first, idea needs money. It's good if you are rich and you have money, but not all of people are rich. Some of them also poor, but some of them have a lot of idea, but they have to bury it down very low in the ground because they don't have the money. That's why we need an environment. For example, we have done incubator. This is Kedai Reka. It is best maybe if I just took you to the website. Maybe I can just click this. Okay. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, okay. It has been opened, but background. So this is an example of environments that support the ITCP. This is Kedareka in Indonesia. This is a platform that help people, whether that's common people, whether it is university students, or even the lecturer, to match them with investor. It is also supported by the government. Even though that government can support us directly, they have a lot of money coming from the taxes that we pay. But even though that the government have the money, it won't be sufficient. It won't be enough for us to implement our idea, because one thing that you might not aware yet, our idea doesn't always become a successful idea. Even we have the money, even we have the great idea, there's too much of a variable in this world that could lead to a failure. We could fail, but we will get back to it later. How to mitigate, how to avoid failure. But sometimes in life, that failure is needed. That's why failure is a good study. If you never fail, then you have to fail, because that's a good place to learn about yourself. So this is Kedareka, an example that invite the industry, whether that's a company, private company, or even the company from the government, to show how people can collaborate together. There's also universities as well that could become one of the example to try to convince the industry to give them money. That's just one of example. We have a lot. Even big companies like big IT companies like Google have a lot of support that they give. If you're familiar with Google Education, when we are in pandemic, they are giving it to us for free, so we don't become stupid because we play too much all day. We just watch movies because the school are closed and we cannot do anything. We cannot learn. That would make us stupid. But a company like Google, they provide us for free. Even though that infrastructure, if they give it to the world, it would cost them so much. They need to prepare infrastructure for the servers. They need to prepare infrastructure for the internet. You can imagine how much of the cost that they are willing to give us for free just to make us smart and not stupid. Sorry for my bad word, but it is the reality. In even us using the technology, some of us cannot develop well in class because even in distance learning, in digital learning, we there's some burden that make us can't develop well. It is different with normal class that we usually do before the pandemic. So that's why uh, environment that supports ITCP is needed. It's could be a physical space, as I mentioned earlier. It would be great, but one thing for sure, we need both of them. We don't just use physical. We also need virtual space because some area in IT uh, needed as well because some things that we learn in the normal school in normal class, there's some part of variable that is missing, especially when a teacher or lecturer only talk in using their voice. They doesn't use any IT, doesn't have using any picture to make the students understand. So that's why we need to occupy the physical or virtual space. Even if that's large or small, range from something that's so free, loosely, or to formal programs. Some programs that give you certificate formally, or just from a smart friend to you. It could be free, and also it could be connected to an institution that give you, oh, maybe a diploma or maybe a bachelor degree. That could be good because that would be an opportunity as well. We can also focus on a specialized exhibition, something like a training, especially for programming, or maybe we can do to develop our arts senses in performance festival. We can also debate in internet forum. We can attend presentation and lecture series, conferences, preferably in academic conference, or maybe just any kind of media that support you as a person who is trying to implement an ITCP. Moving after developing your skill, that's not enough. We also need to foster. We also need to make sure that the ITCP is becoming our culture. It has been happening for some time, especially during pandemic. Probably in developed country, you may see that they starting to realize that the normal work isn't really good. The work from home is actually good. It produces more benefits and profits to the company and to the people itself. So that's why after the pandemic become less of a problem, if I may say, people are not going back to the office anymore. They prefer to do it at home, and it has become really well for them. So that's why this culture is needed. This example, we have a startup culture. We try to make things. This is a good culture to try to introduce an idea to the world. We need to also have the personality such as passion, the agility and authenticity, and that's get back to the personality of the individual person or the team person as well. So that's all what we need, fostering the culture. We need to make sure that we make a new culture, and in IT that is possible. People back before computer, before the internet, their culture is they are reading a newspaper, and before that they having a TV for the first time, and that's their culture, watching TV. Before that they also are doing some culture. Then that's a good sign. We are developing to something good, but also we have the bad side of it that we also need to mitigate or to avoid. So that's why fostering the culture of ITCT would lead us into a new form of research, a new idea, a new experiment that could make a huge potential for us. For example, we have this from Uber. I think some of you may have heard about the self-driving vehicle. Maybe you get the bad news that the Uber no driver vehicle hit someone. But in the positive side, we are making something that not replacing human, but trying to help the human. So we not replacing. Sorry, we are not replacing them, but we helping with IT. Why we call it helping with IT? Because when we are making this SDV, we do not take their job. We can transform from a job that need a driver, for example, a job position, a driver. We can create more opportunities that still giving you salary, and more importantly, it could lead to quality of life. This is my statement because some of the people say, "Oh, the robots will take over the world. They are not giving us job." But what they didn't realize is, it is true that the technology replacing the humans in jobs, but until now, our quality of life has been increasing as well. Not like someone, for example, in developed country like us in Indonesia, we may have some replacement. For example, in parking, we usually have human to give you a service with a parking lot, but now they are using QR code to replace the human. But one things that we don't realize that some of the people not just replace and just becoming poor, no, but even now in Indonesia we doesn't hurt people who who are dying because of they don't doesn't have a job. They are dying because they can't eat. That could become one of the conclusion that replacing human with IT doesn't entirely make the human die, but we can help them. The quality of life is increasing because probably when they are replaced as a parking lot officer, if I can say it in English, they could become something more. And even if they are unemployed, even the government are supporting them. They are teaching them, they are giving them subsidiary money to help them still uh, enjoying life and also survive the life, and also trying to make them probably become a good employee, not as a parking lot officer who in life want to spend their entire life become a parking lot officer. Even if we need it for our people, that should be something that should be done for a long term, because it's not good. I myself, I don't want to be a parking lot officer for the rest of my life, because that would be depressing. That would be entirely depressing. That's why an IT could become a form of also solution for us. Now we move into an implementation. Implementation is a procedure that from idea we implement, and it become one of the part of the society. So we implement our idea, making sure that it would be achieved by the uh, by the society, and also by all the parts in the society as well, and making sure that it stay sustainable. It stays sustainable. This should be an E, sorry. It's still moving forward, not just implement it and oh, the idea is successfully implemented. That's all. No, we are making an implementation that's sustainable, because that's the point. Because we are moving forward to 5.0 as a society. So in this implementation process, we need to know that ITCP covers not only a huge scope of fields, but also need a lot of variables as well. And the most important variable, funding. We need money, as I mentioned earlier, the capability, even the funding is indirect. It is fine to have an indirect funding that could support the we call business activity if we are trying to implement it, because in ITCP we are doing businesses that would provide us money. Even in your principle, I don't need a lot of money, but to run your idea we need to have the business's mind, because we can't make this thing sustainable without having the proper funding. That's why it is essential to support with funding, and making sure that the ITCP have a sustainable funding as well, because sustainable business means sustainable funding. It could also not, it doesn't mean that the funding needed only from the investor, but the funding could also one of the source from the profits itself. We have the profits, we can be sustainable, but not 100%, because some of us, even if we have businesses but we don't know how to manage our business, and the profit just went poof, it's gone, and it making the business not sustainable, it goes bankrupt. That is one of the points that we are going to talk next. Now we are also going to talk about infant. inventing, because this is one of the course in ITCP. You have to become an inventor. An inventor have a lot of idea. Even if the idea is failing, we still have to stay in our courses. We have a lot of courses, that's fine, but we still need to be intentional. Do not be hesitate, do not be ashamed because you have an idea that unorthodox, not commonly seen in in your environment. It is a good sign because that means that you have the creativity mind, you have the inventional mind. I would like to do something with my smartphone, not just for talking, but also I want to see their face. That's an invention of mine. It comes from the idea, and look what we got now. We have the smartphone that could video call us if we call in Indonesia video call, not face talk. We call them and see their video face to face, and it's a great invention. So that's why what we call creativity, an icon, light bulb icon thing, is difficult to be defined because we also know that creativity is difficult to understand because we need to see it when it is implemented. The complexity is too huge if we are trying to define a creativity, because we can see a creativity until it is implemented and successfully. Oh, not successful, sorry, successful, because even if it's implemented in our environment, if it's not successful, or even it is not acceptable by the society, you can get bullied. You will be bullied, and that's what you need to be aware of. Even if you are creative, be prepared to be bullied with someone who doesn't share the same mind of you. But it's fine. We need to be strong as well, because that's make us creative. That's actually make us a creator. Creator is something creative and something that should make something like unknown territory, that something like bully, or something like bad talk or trash talking should never become a hindrance for you, because we need to focus in our output that will be divided into something routine skill of activity, that what I say earlier. In Indonesia we call it bisa karena biasa. We can do it because we do it every day, and also by applying methods. That's why we have experimentation. I would like to add Mentos in Coca-Cola. Wow, we made such a good chemical reaction, but also dangerous one. But it is a fun one. That's why applying methods, or making problems. Apply methods to the problems will be giving us a solution as well. Okay, next one. We also need to talk about the advantage of creativity. Creativity also has no sector. This is the advantage of the monopoly. The creativity, because it can't be monopolized, because it's all on our mind. We also have pure power in creativity, because nobody can take it from you. It also have an advantage of an outcome as a new knowledge. It gives us invention that could improve our quality of life. It gives us unique products and service. and also a new kind of culture in creativity, as such as a WFH, the work from home. And that's a good thing for me, to be honest. As an introvert, I love work from home because I don't have to associate with other people. But in a good life, even us as a introvert, we need to be social. But me personally, deep inside, I'm very grateful, and that's why it is needed to be one of the things that we have to keep in mind. And I will back to you later in the second part of this course. I need to charge the battery for my laptop first, and I will continue later. Okay, let's move on for the discussion of our course. So, the advantage of creativity should become a source into what we call the creative industry, where this term comes from a saying that people who has no money, no job, but has a huge of income. In our culture, the people usually say that we have some kind of evil spirits that get the money from us. Back in the day when information technology is not available to all the people, and this is what we call unemployed with income. Unemployed with income. It has become one of the job position that also known by the government, where they try to do a survey or try to check where the money is coming from. It's about, especially from the monetary ministry of Indonesia. They call this position is unemployed with income. This is a common example for someone whose job is an influencer. It's also a job for someone who is just it's not an influencer, but he's doing just playing mobile games and stream it. They usually stream to a video platforms such as YouTube or Twitch, or now they are coming to TikToks as well. Unemployed with income also come from job position that pretty unique, if I say myself. Something that people is not aware of, something like cryptocurrency, where someone who can make a investment, or maybe they can have something like non-fungible tokens, or for short we have NFT, that prove to become one of the source that included in this creative industry. And this also affect our domestic product as well. Then it is a positive signs that aside from the common industry, we could also make a profit in some ways that prove that it is something that unique, something that should be able to be things that make money from. So this is why creative industry is a big opportunity that could be explored further. So there is no limit, and as I mentioned earlier, that there is no monopoly on it. But when we are implement the creativity into one startups or a business or an idea that sustainable, that could be one of our weapon as uh, monopoly to that kind of idea. So that's why it is also a good um, improvement to us in the society. And to enable this creative industry, we need to figure out what kind of creative industry is available on. Here we have a domain of creative activity. This is a simple term, a simple cycle that proves that creativity, when we are uh, joining it with other variables, it could lead to a successful creative industry. In this example, we have the science. We have the science, we have the culture, and we have the economic. This is a two way of supporting each other. So economic should be able to support the scientific creativity, but also the scientific creativity should be able to um, depends on the economic as well, because science is not funded with money. We can't do much, we cannot do a lot of experiment. And economic as well, if we don't have the science, we could easily take all our money out. There will be no money left to be spent. And there's also one thing that we have been learning earlier is about the culture, which also contributes to the domain of creative activity, where even though that we have this scientific creativity, but if this one is not supported by the culture, we are going to have some problem. And culture without science, we are just going back to the dark age, where we don't have access to the science. We don't have the knowledge to do even the basic needs. That would be a problematic one. For example, we have a case study. Here we have Gojek. Gojek is a smart online transportation, which is a creative idea and has become a creative industry who successfully implemented in Indonesia. This provide a business and a service that provide uh, transportation for the society using online application in smartphones. And this has one of a great example for the domain of the creativity, because this Gojek is one of the science and idea that could solve the economic problems, where people getting more new job as a driver and also get an opportunity to have some economic benefits, and also suitable with the culture of us in Indonesia, where Gojek is known with the motorcycle, where has become one of the largest transportation model that implemented in Indonesia. Then that has become one of the culture benefits, but could also become a burden, because in our culture as well it affects other domain of the creativity. We have a problem with the Gojek in the beginning, before the era of smart online transportation. We have the conventional one. We have conventional one who decline to have this kind of technology. So that's why we have to make sure that in our strategy in ITCP, we have to try to negotiate with our culture, to negotiate with our society, where we can try to use the scientific creativity to teach them what is the benefits of this Gojek. What could we do to solve these cultural burdens that could become one of the problem that arise later and make this business go bankrupt if we are not looking at the cultural creativity. That's why this also become one of the challenge in doing startups. So when dealing with creativity activity, we need to learn that correlation need to be done, not only in terms of the scientific versus economic and culture, but also culture and scientific, which come back to the glue. This become a glue, the technological creativity, which hold the three domain as one of the creative industry, because we all realize that technology could hold this domain of creativity together. It makes things easier, and it also makes things efficient. Not only as efficient, but also give solution to all of our ideas need in creative industry. And we also need to remember that this domain should support and parallelly depends on each other. We need to know that domain usually is a two-way interaction, but this not causing the change that the domain could interact in three-way as well. Even if the technology we know today could evolve into something further that allow for the whole interaction in the same time, but we don't know when. That's why we still have to keep up to date on our technology, in our information technology, because for the third point of the correlation of the domains, that we know that this interaction also creates opportunity. And look what we have now. We have the Gojek that become one of the main transportation that move all the conventional transportation become useless today. They are people who like to book things online than just go to the we call it terminal here in Indonesia to get the conventional transportation, which is could pay more, could be slow, and it's not comfortable at all. So that is what a correlation of the creativity activity could do in terms of our plan as ITCP. We also need to know that the roles in the creativity not only as a activity in terms of the domain, but this IT glue all of this domain to become a practice where we learn something together to try to enhance all kinds of variables that needs to be attained in our roles, in our idea as well. So that's why we need to move forward and make sure that this information technology is developed well. Information technology would glue all the science, the culture, and the creativity of economic practice into one concept across all the field of studies. So that's why in this era, wherever we go, whether we are going to the mall, we are going to the hospital, we are going to the farm, to all over the place, we will find an information technology across the globe, and that has become one of part of our life that we simply cannot put off. We simply cannot put off. And here is the good thing that IT, when we are trying to increase our skills of creativity, we can use the World Wide Web to increase our creativity and also to collaborate with each other. When we are trying to collaborate, make sure that we have the necessary skills to be a good member of those collaboration, such as when you are going as a collaboration as an artist and as a designer and information technologies, you can be what we called earlier the influencer, a successful influencer. Because even if you are having a good idea, you have the acting skills, but if you don't have the all of the expertise that should be a multi skill talents, then it won't be enough. It won't be enough. So if you're figuring this out as an individual, you have to master all of this. But if you're going on team and collaborate with each other, you could be a part of the expert. But it's always be a good thing if you try to develop all kind of the multi skills to become your talent. This type of practice won't be limited and shouldn't be a challenge for something from the government, such as the institutional constraints. That's why we have to talk with the government to release the idea and try to set up a limit where which is what we can do and which what we could do. That's why a collaboration with the government should be a good thing as well. We also need to focus and plan with the incentive that we could make in our idea. So that's why it could become a good sustainable activity in the future. We also need to learn about our intellectual property. We need to arrange those uh, rights so it won't be a burden in the future, because even if we don't care about the copyrights of our products or our service, but in the future if someone is trying to say, oh, this one is my idea, you have to pay for it. This is because we don't make a plan about the intellectual properties as one of our management in creativity. That's why some of the startups, some of the even the big companies fail to get their startup or their business to be sustainable because of these small little things like intellectual property. You also need to share and collaborate about the funding policies, so that when you are collaborating, you know how many shares that you are making, and not just in the end of the collaboration, but start from the front. So that's why we always need an arrangement that is legalized in some way. We can have some paper, some contract, or even we can collaborate with the experts in laws. That's why it should be something that be kept in mind. And also, let's talk about how the personality should affect in our creativity. we have to make sure that we have the creative personality to show that we have what it takes to become a creator, because creator means creative. That's why some people who is successful in their part as a creator, they usually have the mind of a creative, or have a personality that willingly to become creative at its own will. So here comes a question: what makes one action ordinary and another is creative? And the part of the answer is the personality itself. Even though that this is an answer from long survey, long research ago in 2000 and in year 2000 from researchers in psychologists, this still stand until now, because the tendency of a creative people, they have to be somehow independent, who doesn't need to wait for someone else in order to do an action, but not become a self independent and doesn't need people, but independent in ways that taking a responsibility. They also need to have a non-conformist um, personality, where they doesn't feel comfortable in their safe zone, because when someone is comfortable in their zone, they tend to stop making a creative practice, where when they are feeling comfortable in their jobs, in their salary, they doesn't want to do anything. They would say, why should I do that? I have a big salary, I have a lot of money, why should I take a risk? That's why one of the personality of a creator also say something about the boldness to take risk. That's why it is also important, because these two have connection with each other. You don't stay in your comfort zone, and you are ready to taking risk, but not as a fool, but a calculated risk. That's why we also need to have unconventional ways of thinking, different with each other, but not crazy, but intelligent. Also, you need to have a wide interest in the topics that you want to achieve. Need to be open-minded as well, because we are going to collaborate with people all over the world. Culture shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to understand that we are different, but we can work with each other. And also, we have to be having a polite behavior, because this is also the key of how a creator would be achieving their success. And also, they have to be flexible on making a decision, thinking, and everything else that they need to do in order to implement their creativity. The next, also a sample of our view in a systematical view of creativity. We have to become a person who learn and know about the domain, but first we also need to collaborate and make a hierarchy, an organization of our social before we went to our domain. If we are trying to make a great view of a creativity, because before when we are going to the domain, the symbol of the creativity, which is the science, the culture, and the economic side, we need to search the team first. Even if you are individualist, even if you are trying to do this by yourself, when you grow bigger, you will have a team, and that's why organization of this social hierarchy should become top of your priority as well, because the social system meant that we are not working alone, even if we are starting this individually. So when we achieve the social organization of domain, we can implement it through the domain mentioned earlier and back to you as a person to have the experience and also all of the skills containing from the social system, from the culture, and also in the middle of this, the technology itself as one of your personal experience. That's why when you are working as a creative people, you can try to improve your skills in terms of skill sets throughout collaboration. And you know how much that collaboration could be achieved by some individuals by trying to involve themselves to through a lot of multi-skills talent, where someone who is good at arts, they are improving their knowledge in IT, and they can make an art through digital art, becoming a digital art. For example, they can make comic books, they can make animation, and even they can make some scientific and engineering projects by combining a lot of field of study. So this meant that we need to to focus also on not only on the field of the study itself, but in the sub discipline of the study. For example, the discipline of study, the root of all studies, which is math. And did you know that this math actually the mother of all um, subjects all have to be included in math. And for me myself in computer science, this also means that uh, actually the science is one of the sub-discipline that becomes a discipline, a field of study now. But when we are trying to make something better, we as a creative people, we need to make sub-disciplines out of computer science as well. We have been making that. For example, we have making a lot of sub-discipline in computer science, such as now we have informatics. We also have AI, artificial intelligence. We have what we also call the uh, digital arts in AR, augmented reality, and VR as well, and all other sub-disciplines of the computer science. That's why it is also uh, need to be acknowledged by the people that differs in expertise and skills should be able to be done as fast and as light as possible. So we have to do it. We have to move fast and travel light without a burden at all. So uh, there are probably some of people that prove to be unusually talented people who can do it all alone by themselves. They can make a product just by themselves, and they usually have the model of multi-skilled sets for individuals. But one of the secrets that probably not all of us know, that we could be one of those talented people, but probably need a little bit of time to do that. And we can do it by doing what we can, and also have the principle of the creativity, which is doing things as fast, moving as fast, and also travels as light as possible. And this is also the same with what I was saying earlier, the saying from the Indonesian, bisa karena biasa, where we can do it because we do it again and again. And for a case study, I could show you one of fields that usually have these talented people. In this case, we have an indie game development. Indie means individual. This is made by by one person or someone who doesn't known in a big company, and they usually in this case they have this skill set. They have the designer sets who can design a level, making some kind of art. Not even if the art is not that good, but that is sufficient to become a good product or a service. They also need to have the set of an artist, and last but not least, because this is a game development, this is a digital game development, they need to have the capability of coding itself. These become a connection and correlate with each other through a network in structure, and becoming one of the best product has ever made. For example, this one. Probably some of you has known and has played this game before. This is Stardew Valley. Okay. Let me open the page for you first so we can see. Okay, I think the hyperlink is not working, so let me open it manually. Okay. This is the example of individual game development. This one only made by one people, and his nickname is Concerned Ape. This is a proof that creativity could lead to a better things. And now he have his own studios. This is start from a small things that he made, simulation games about life of farmers, and this has become so big it even become a cross-platform kind of products. It has been released first in a PC. Now it went to the game platform like Xbox or PS or Nintendo, and also it went to smartphone mobiles. And this is a proof that people succeeded in. It's a good thing to do, to have a dream to make a creative development, and making sure that this is what you wanted to do in life. Want to be reckoned in cross-disciplinary is what we call the cultural challenge. This is an example as well when we are going with teamwork with other people different from nation to another. This is also an example that we usually do in Indonesia, because we are known that Indonesia as well, we are divided into separate culture, and that has become a challenge and could lead to a big problem if we don't manage to make a mitigation in our daily work. Even in term of one nation, we can still have this cultural challenge. What if we are trying to collaborate with people from different nations? So that's why we need to figure out the challenge first, so that we can try to mitigate the problem so it won't go anything bigger. The first challenge that could be faced in the future when we are doing collaboration is the communication challenge. Communication challenge is also one of the most common problem, because why? Sometimes we misunderstood, even if we know how to speak in English, how to understand what people are saying in English, but sometimes there's still a miscommunication that happen, especially during team play management, even in individual projects that we have just started. When we are trying to talk with each other people, especially when having an we are not having English as our first language. This ESL, English as second language. This will become a burden if we don't try to communicate. So that's why language is not the necessary things in this challenge, but also we need more and better communication through some activities that not require language but could increase our bond with our team as well. We also will having some challenge when accessing funding resources, because we are going through nation and other nation which have different setup of funding resources. From Indonesia to another country, we could have some problems if we are going to transfer. The simplest is the currency, and not including the regulation of the government itself. Some of the government support this kind of thing, and they gave us funding. Some are not. Sometimes the government from other nation feels suspicious about our activities and could ban us from this, and that's why we have to do some planning about these funding problems that may arise. We also need to focus on our frameworks when we are doing information technology things. We have to make sure that we have the same frameworks to develop especially our products in information technology. This is why we also need to correlate with the project, because this project in a collaboration, it should become a huge time consuming project. So we have to be sure that we are aware, we are having a time management and making sure that everything is on track, everything is on schedule. We also need to focus on our main resources in this creativity process, which is what I described earlier about the skills training, but try to focus on getting a new capabilities. The newer, the unique the skills, the better, because this would prove to become one of our largest marketing option to promote our creativity products and service. We also need the physical and digital workspaces, whether this is small or big, but this is for the collaboration process. It is quite different with our individual or our team's workspace, because we need to separate what we can share between collaboration and which is not. So, which is also because when we are doing with workspaces, we are also going to connect with social platform from all part of the society. This, the social platform could be different, but we have to create the platform to be available for all parts of the society throughout our collaboration. That's why it is needed. If also suggested that we are making our own social platform for developing our ideas and creativity. So we just don't wait, or we are just using the general social platform, because even that is happening, we all know that social platform will just go bankrupt. Some of them are going to close at any time when it reach it age, because if you are if you remember, social platform has changing from time to time. We have uh, the IRC from Yahoo. We also have Friendster. We have MySpace. We have Facebook that currently has been decreasing in terms of use, and Instagram and TikToks, and we all know it will come up to one point where it will close. So that's why, to retain the collaboration, we have to be able to have a social platform that connects everyone in our circles as well. Aside from the mentioned before, we also need a hardware and software to support creative work. In this term, I would like to give an example of automation software for multimedia tasks that usually needed as one of the main weapon in our creative work. So for all of you who hasn't know yet, the Adobe Animate is a tool to make animation. This is one of many tools of the multimedia that usually use for making things for their creative works. So I will give you an example of why we need to have a creative work, because this is needed as an automation software to help us in our daily life. Because when we are doing things conventionally, back in the day when animation was introduced, they have the method called frame by frame animation, which to say they are trying to draw things picture by picture that I mentioned earlier. Something broadly like this. I draw this one, I draw again, I draw a ball, and to try to make it looks good, I try to move it manually like this. And this proven to be taking a lot of time just to make a simple animation. So that's why we need to make sure that we implement a method. So I will also introduce you one of the simple method I know in animation called twinning. This is a simple computer skills that could be used to animate a movement easily. So we just have to click like this. Oh, sorry. We move it and like this, and we just create a twin to ask the computer to do what we wanted to do by directing them like this. It would make an easier things in our creative way, because by doing twin, I just need to direct the computer to do, I want this ball goes here, so the balls goes here. It's different with the traditional picture by picture. I need to make sure that I draw it at as accurate as possible and as many as I can. And even so, this doesn't look right, because if I try to play this, the blue ball in traditional way, it would look so bad. It would look really bad, because even though that we are trying as a human, we are limited to some capability in life. That's why when we are adding our technology, it could prove to become one of the efficient tools that could automate and help us through our creative activities. We also need an integrated system as our second tools, hardware especially, and software to handle and showing integration. And this is connected to the ICT, the Information and Community Technology. For example, I would like to introduce also the hosting racket. This is a rare startups that doesn't really become a business in Indonesia. This is a service that provide an infrastructure for website, because usually in our creative work, we need a system to show information, and for the easiest part, we show a website. And that's why we have this hosting racket, and it has become a good business, even if we are not maintain it very well, but it still gives some good profit in life. That's why ICT infrastructure could become more cheaper if we are using creative way, because hosting racket is also one of the creative way to save money. Because if we are going to have infrastructures, the true infrastructure for the ICT, we have to spend million and million of dollar. But with using some solution like this hosting racket, we just need to pay a little bit of money. It would cost only $15 to $25 a year, against the ICT cost that could be million of dollars a year, not including the maintenance, not including disaster recovery, when the data centers went into fire and the data is missing. It could cost a lot of money, and even though that big business can afford that, I don't think the big company would like to spend a lot of their money into ICT, because they also need to spend in a lot of things that really needed in their company as well. So this could become one of our opportunities as well when you're dealing with tools, especially in hardware and software tools to support our creative works. We can have some opportunities and maybe idea to make a simple uh, tools to be able to support this one. We also have some example here about the ITCP technologies. We have the network games, and I do realize that probably some of you know that we have some quite an interactive computer games that one of your favorites as well. We also have um I'm sorry. Okay, I misclick. Sorry. We also have avatar creation, and it's usually implemented in the games. We now can connect to the internet and play online games together. It has become our common entertainment as well as digital entertainment. We have Netflix today, we have Disney Plus to watch our favorite movies and all of the digital entertainment that available online. We also now have something like a metaverse, like a spatial venues as a something like a theme park as well. We have the we can use VR and AR to have a motion based rides. We also have consoles now and PC for our interactive game design, and also we have creation of input devices such as what I mentioned earlier, HR and VR, and uh, focused also in VR. We have the mounted displays that we could wear to focus and to enjoy the virtual reality, and also other things that we can do with VR. Especially we can use it in other fields such as medical, education, and also government field of implementation. We also have wearable computing for entertainment purpose. I mentioned earlier, maybe you have now the Oculus Rift. We also have some smartwatch that we use for to control our health. We can check our temperature. We can check our daily walks and all other things that we can do. We have also a huge development in our displays monitors. We can have a huge monitor right now, a more efficient and stunningly great display. We also now have a interactive robot that doesn't really look robot and becoming more human. We also have a AI based or synthetic interview technology to try to determine a people his personality only by answering question. We also have speech recognition we apply today in our smart technology, our smart cities, or even in the small remote villages. Also, the augmented reality, we have the uh, telecommunication presence. We call it presence, that we are feeling we are in that place, that could be used for entertainment and also educational purpose. We also have the digital production and post production such as the animation as well. We also have something like digital post production where we try to recycle what we have produced and try to make it better. We have the sound synthesis, better to say sound engineering for example, an Adobe Audition that could be added as one of our example in how we manage to make a great technology today. So let me show you about an example of the sound that we can do easily using Adobe Audition. So this is Adobe Audition, one of the software in audio. We can try to engineer any kind of sound, but for this occasion, I think I could just show you sample of a sound creation. We can record a song and a simple things that we can do with the sound. This is called the spatial sound, where we can panel our sound and look feels like, for example, the sound in the cinema where you can hear it from left, right, center, and something like all around you as well. So let me give you an example, but to hear this you will need a surround bass speaker, or to be better experience this, you need to have a headphones on. Okay, so let me give you an example of recording. You can try to record this, and this is an example for the left sound of my voice, and this is the sample of the sound from the right side of my voice. Thank you. Now we can try to edit it. This shouldn't take too much time. So this is an example of the voice. This is an example for the left sound of my voice. We can try to edit. This is called the panning, sound panning. I can just pan this. Okay. I need to make a mark first. Okay, so this going to the left side. Only the left side will hear my voice, and this are going to the right side. This is a pretty good example of what we can do, and it's easy to be done. And this is the sample. Let me remind you, you need to hear this using a stereo speaker or a headphones that support a stereo audio or sound. And this is an example for the left sound of my voice, and this is the sample of the sound from the right side of my voice. Thank you. You're welcome. So that's a simple example that proves that even now Itcp has developed so much of technology. Even we as part of the society doesn't really realize, but it has become a great addition to our society in terms of technology. So for other example as well, we have haptic device, something that given a feedback to our input as well. That's also a technology that has been developed until today, and we also have entertainment based robots that can dance, that can act like an animal, and also could be used freely as what we need to use it for. So that's a simple example of the Itcp technologies that has been done until today. But one thing that also we need to realize, that based from the example above, the main focus is still the reality of the economic itself, because ITCP should outcome of a profit, because even though that we can prove that our idea can be implemented, we have to pay for what the cost for the implementation. You can say that, for example, the use of the application, the software from the example before, it need to be paid. Some of them is premium, or what I said earlier, pay to use. But one thing that you need to realize, that pay to use or premium programs is not always better. Not always better than the open source software, but still, sorry, it's still a good choice for safety measurement, because the economic expert always say the better the price, the better the quality is. Usually like that, because we are trying to make some implementation, we have to measure things better, and this is the safety measurement that best implemented in our studies. We also could do some creative ways to solve this kind of economic problem by using some kind of collaboration. We can collaborate, such as the example from the influencer. They doesn't have to pay, but they can do some endorsement to use it. We call it collaboration or software use. They don't pay, but they got an endorsement for that. Oh, sorry. Let me do it here. Let me write it here. Endorsement. We can also get some kind of cheap price when we are still on learning, by getting educational license even for free. For example, earlier the Google provide a free educational license for their Google apps. It calls Google Workspace Education, and also we can have a profit sharing contract. Some example of this software is the Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine have a profit sharing contract. You don't have to pay anything to use their software, but when your software, for example, the game has been made public and make money a lot, then you have to give some shares to them as the profit sharing contract. You can also think of any creative way to overcome this challenge in economic challenge. For case study, we could also learn from a STEM, a studio for electro instrument music. They gave a subsidiary. They are a technology organization in Amsterdam that help a lot of musicians by providing subsidiary to the system, usually the sensor system, where they can make a new music instrument. This is an example of what they done with disabled people as well, by using the sensor system to try to make an music instrument for the disabled people. But unfortunately, I have some bad news about them. Earlier in 2021, they are not having some investor with their technology, and unfortunately they might shut down because of it. And this is also become one of our education when we are trying to make a creative startup, which we need to learn more about the economic situation. Even the slightest change of the economic could make our creative practice doesn't go well. So this should become your main concern when you're trying to develop ITCP in your idea in the future. I also have some case study. This is also an open source, not a software, but a programming language, which called Python. And I think all of you have at least heard of this programming language. Even almost all programming languages that has been shared is shared open source, but this is one of the early one, and still until today become one of the favorite programming language that teach the society, teach the people who wants to be creative to develop a lot of programming task, even gaming, even web service, even for educational or collaboration and research. They even have some thing like this. This is Alice 3D. This is an interactive graphics programming environment for starters, for someone who's still learning the basic of programming. This is the one of the example that where we could try to get software and hardware tools as one of our tools in order to develop our creativity. So based on what we learned today, I think we might all figure out the basic need. I know deep inside each of us has some ideas that we want to creatively implement as individual or as a team project. Maybe we could ask here, we could discuss in our comment section if we have one. Wherever you find this video, you can try to discuss even by yourself where to start, what to do by learning and trying to figure out what you want to do with ITCP. It's not just in ITCP, but also can include it in your own idea, in your own field of study, if you are still studying and only focus in one subject. And that's all for today. Thank you very much for your time, and I will see you again in the second meeting. Goodbye and have a nice day.